the number one solution for healing the world. Courage and connection. Connection and courage. The problems faced by the world, in the world, stem from really one cause. And that cause is what we call the myth of separation. So I feel separate from God, separate from people around me, separate from myself. Therefore, causes depression, causes anxiety. One of the ways of dealing with that depression, dealing with that separateness, dealing with that misery, alcoholism, drug abuse. Another way, violence, crime. Because separation then, of course, makes me feel like I don't have enough. So it leads to greed, it leads to anger, it leads to lust. It leads to conflict in our families. It leads to the problems that we face in our communities, whether small communities or large communities. I feel separate from people of different races, different religions, different colors, different sexual orientations, different socioeconomic statuses. There's always an us and a them, an other. And in that separateness, we wreak havoc and harm on the other. Whether just through discrimination and discriminatory practices or through absolute vicious violence and everything in between. Because they are other. We have wars between nations. Again, they are other. What do we fight over? We fight over land. We fight over religion. We fight over power. We fight over money. But I'm only fighting the other. I'm only fighting them because in my mind they are separate from me. They are different. They are other. That land should be mine, ours. That power, that resource should be mine, should be ours. We are right, you are wrong. Us, them. Causes what's happening to our environment. We feel separate from the trees, from the air, from the soil, from the water. So they become commodities for us to use and abuse and discard. We feel separate from future generations. The unborn children, which enables us to squander and defile the world they are going to be born into. So that myth of separation underscores everything that is ailing us today, from the most deeply personal, individual, to the national and international, to the planetary. So the awareness of oneness, connection, is the solution to that. When I know that I am one with all, then A, I don't feel alone, connected to God, connected to myself, connected to Mother Nature, connected to the trees growing in my backyard or the park down the street. I'm connected, I'm not alone. Whether there's another human being in my house, in my room, in my bed or not is irrelevant. I'm connected. Connected to the universe. Fills me. Means I don't have to go out and eat or buy or shop my way to feel full, drink or use. to feel full. I don't need to buy more and more and more from factories that are spewing waste into the air, into the soil, into the water to feel full. I'm already full. So connection and courage. Because courage is that makes us know that yes, we can make a difference. We do make a difference. We are making a difference. And that runs both ways. The ripple impact of my existence can either be one that is helping or one that is harming. But it takes courage to realize I actually have an impact. I can have an impact. I am having an impact. I am powerful. Because a lot of us are groomed to feel powerless, to feel small, to feel insignificant and helpless. It takes courage to overcome that and to realize, hey, wait, these choices I'm making, not necessarily the best ones for myself or the planet, and there is an alternative. There's an alternative to anger. There's an alternative to grudges. There's an alternative to addictions. There's an alternative to misery and to crime and to violence. There's an alternative to shopping therapy. But it takes courage to step out of a box that we've all been stuck into and to really say, hey, wait. Have I too drunk the metaphoric Kool-Aid to believe that literally this is my highest calling, to just get up every day and go somewhere and punch a time clock and come home and sit in front of a TV and drink away my sorrows? Never to actually feel deep love, deep meaning, deep purpose, deep connection? Takes courage. And so when we speak about healing the world or fixing the world, well, remember that world begins with us. So first of all, I have to have the connection and courage within me. The courage to rise. To really rise into the truth of who I am. That isn't necessarily about glamour or prestige or money, but that is the calling of my heart. That is the calling to be able to be a tool in the hands of the divine, to be used by God here on earth. But I have to be connected to know how to be used. Because otherwise it becomes just the games of my ego, or the games of whatever cultural indoctrination I've been subjected to. So I've got to be connected to a deep divine voice within me that speaks my truth, that's free of my fear, of my ego, of my ignorance. And then I have to have the courage to open my heart and to live that connection. May not be what's going to make the neighbors say, wow, you are such a great success, wish I could be like you. May not be something that puts us on the cover of a magazine or gets us the most likes on social media or is exactly what our parents wanted to do or wanted us to do. But it's the truth of our hearts. And that takes both courage and connection, because the ego can very easily hijack that whole situation. Hijack your whole life. So that's why the connection is required, and then the courage is required. And when each of us lives really as vehicles and vessels for the divine flow on earth, then we live together in love, in oneness, in connection. There is no one to steal from, no one to harm, no one to cheat, no one to exploit. It's all us. And as Gandhiji said so beautifully, there's more than enough for everyone's need and never enough for anyone's greed. So when we live together as one, we live according to our collective need. When we live as separate, then we live according to the individual greed of a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage that is bringing about the suffering in the world for so many. So connect and have courage. Every one of us is the answer.